with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. My guest today he's going to light you up. We met a few months ago. He's just a great dude, but cares, and he's definitely a servant's heart. But he also is going to motivate you. He's going to challenge you. And more important, you're going to walk away with tools and resources that you can inspire action for yourself and for others. So before we dive in, here's your homework today. How are you going to serve yourself first and serve others today? And email me. Let me know what you did. It doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. A smile to someone could be a big uplift to somebody. So if you've done that and you did it today, send me an email. I'd love to hear how you're serving out there. So lean in, take notes, and let's discover how servant leadership in business can create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. Big shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps your message connect and convert. It's just 4 steps. I engage, I persuade, I inspire, and I close with clarity. I use this every day, and it's working magically. You could try it free at epicimpact.ai with code STEVE. Change your message, change your results. Excited to announce we hit top 20 in small business marketing. Thanks to you, audience and guests, for sharing this. We're obviously making an impact. And that's the most important thing when it comes to my podcast and others as well. So let's continue making that impact. With that being said, let's bring our guest on. Ron, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Steve, thank you for having me, my man. I'm honored to be here and being with somebody like yourself who is a human SEO, super connector of people, and a genuine soul. I'm just grateful to share some time with you on screen and provide value for your audience.
Well, some of the things I haven't done is being a Gold Glove boxer. I probably wish I did. I think my dad wished. You don't look like it today. I look at you and go, Gold Glove boxer. But what did you learn going through that journey that you're using today in business?
Oh, wow. I mean, boxing for me taught me so much about discipline, but really, again, self-respect,
Yeah.
being able to go work hard for something. I had that innately in me since I was pretty young, growing up in a military household. But I was never really a fighter, Steve. I was somebody that was a little bit more passive, and I was pressured in high school to get into a altercation with somebody that I grew up with just because somebody told him I was talking about his girlfriend of all things, which was so not true. I was about 100 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in my pocket, man. So for me to be picking fights with anybody was not happening. And when I went back home and told my dad what was going down, he knew the kid, and he said, "Well, defend yourself. If he gets in your face and he goes to push you, hit him under the chin and aim for the ceiling when he gets real close to you." And my dad had a little bit of security background in his life, so he knew that, watching bar fights and things like that happen in his lifetime, people get really up close and personal. And the kid did that the next day in science class. He got in my face and I dropped him in the doorway of science class. And 2 things happened to me, Steve. I froze. And I froze because, one, my heart, I hit my friend. And 2, holy crap, I just couldn't believe that I did that. And immediately my dad, after that altercation, we got suspended. My dad took me to learn how to box. At first, I didn't think anything about competing. I just thought about it as a way to defend myself. And as I started to hone my skills and got beat up a good bit, I went on to compete and win Golden Gloves in New Jersey in 2012. And after that, I went to college, got my bachelor's in business management, and I worked in restaurants and bars. So I was always around people, working in the hospitality industry. So between that and then taking boxing and actually teaching people boxing as I progressed in the sport and helping them overcome their own obstacles, not just getting in shape, but also, their own self-discipline, their own confidence, their own, like, I can do this mentality that they might not have had before. And once, as you've seen so many times, Steve, when you've coached people and helped people, they go through learning curves. So being able to effectively articulate my message, and break things down and make things simple for people allowed me to excel, especially once I got into the business world. I ended up selling Audis at Ray Cattina, Audi and Freehold. I became a nationally ranked Audi brand specialist, and I became the top rated and reviewed individual in my entire dealership within 2.5 years. And I credit that partially to boxing because, again, there's that hard work discipline, working on your craft day in, day out, that's necessary if you want to succeed at the highest levels, whether it's athletics or business.
Well, I've been to business conventions, and Eye of the Tiger or the Rocky theme comes on. There's your what you've done with business. Why they bring it on? Because it motivates people. You can be the underdog, and talk about the underdog mentality. I think we talked about it the first time we met. What's your description of that?
Well, it's funny. I'm going to lean on your description of it a little bit. In our episode, you had mentioned that underdogs are outliers, and you don't have to be an outlier and an underdog forever. So, going into Great American Underdog, my podcast, part of the reason I wanted to create that show was because I want to give people the courage to act, the resilience when they need it, and the discipline for when the motivation fades, right? Because we're not always going to be motivated. We're not always going to be excited to do what we do. And I think at the core of the podcast, boxing and business, the other thing is you have to really know your why, Steve, you know? And I think that so many people get into business or sport or whatever it is for the wrong reasons. People are very transactionally minded, and I understand wanting to make money. But just like you talk about on this show, leading with a servant's heart and doing business with a servant's heart, you have to serve before you ever wish to sell. And if you can start every relationship off with serving people first, which is what I love about what you do, it just creates such a better starting point for a relationship. You know, there's a big difference between a customer and a client. I always tell this to people in my coaching calls and when we do live training at different businesses. We train specifically in the automotive dealership space, and we do high performance business development coaching for them as well as B2B businesses. And the one thing is that Jay Abraham talks about so well is a customer is somebody who purchases a commodity or service. It's 100% transactional. And the definition of a client is somebody that actually is under the protection of another. It's someone who's under the protection of another. So even relating back to your question, Steve, when we talk about being an underdog, like there's people out there that want to protect you and help you along your journey. And just because the odds may be against you, and you might be facing challenges, I promise you that there are other people out there that care about the relationship with you and want to see you win. And that's when I talk about an underdog. I want to see those kind of people win. I've been an underdog in my own life in many verticals. Still working on overcoming challenges all the time, but I have just a commitment to learning and helping others learn as well so they can live their best lives.
I have to laugh because underdog, I've got gambling friends at sports, and they make a ton of money on underdogs. That's all they bet. And you got better at, don't worry, it's underdog means that you're going to get a better return on your bet with that. And that's what I'm thinking from what you're saying there is you can win to be an underdog. Underdogs have won games and boxing matches and tennis matches, whatever, for hundreds of years. But it's not a
Well,
deficit to you, right?
Well, it's not a deficit. If anything, it can give you a significant advantage because if you're an underdog, like you wanted more. Like there's a part of you that once that why, if that why, like going back to that why, if that why is strong enough, Steve, and you want it more, I think it was Tim Notke. I think I'm saying his last name right, but he always said he was a basketball coach, I think college basketball, and he said,
Mhm.
when talent doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent. And a prime example of that from the boxing world is back in the 90s when Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson just sat on his laurels, thought he was knocking everybody out at the time. And Buster Douglas, right before his fight, lost his mom. And his why was so much stronger than Tyson's that although he got knocked down in the very beginning of the fight, he outlasted Tyson with his gas and then eventually knocked him out. And that was like one of the biggest upsets that we've seen in recent boxing history back in the 90s. But that's just a great example of, again, like if your why is really great and you have the determination to go after something, I don't care how big the obstacle is, the universe is going to work out more than likely in your favor as long as you're putting the work in on a consistent basis. And then when you meet people like you, Steve, who are super connectors, and you lead with value with people like you, they might connect you with one person, and you might be one relationship away and not even know it from the goal that you're looking to achieve. So, again, like, yeah, definitely those people, your friends that get bet on underdogs, it makes total sense because those are the people that, a lot of times they know they're the underdog, and they have a chip, something to prove and a chip on their shoulder, and they're ready to go to war if they gotta.
Why is so important, as you will talk about your podcast in a sec here, but every successful people I've interviewed, they all had whys. There's not one person out there and went, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I just jumped into it and I made $1 billion. Now, 100% across the board. If you audience, if you want to look, go back to some of these guests I've had that will say that. So I love that you said that, Ron. The podcast, two things. One, tell us about it, but two, why are you a podcast host?
Well, again, just what I was saying before about the podcast, that the courage to act, the resilience when it's tough, and the discipline when motivation fades. Like that's really the crux of the podcast. I interview a lot of entrepreneurs and athletes because that is a space that I occupy as well. So, it's easy for me to have conversations with both those verticals. But the reason that I really built the podcast, Steve, is because I feel like in the world today, in divided times, I feel like people need to know that the challenges that they face are challenges that they can overcome, and that we're actually a lot more alike than a
Mm.
lot of people might want us to think. And, when you break it down to like the simple and the basics, like we all need clean water, we all need food, we all need shelter, and we all want love. And I think that in everybody's story that I share, they all share something in common with each other as well as me, which is they want to give back and they want to help others live better lives through whatever it is they do. Whether it's connecting people like yourself, Steve, or, I just had a guy who's a branding expert on the show. I've had boxers tell their story as well, things of that nature, entrepreneurs that started at nothing from scratch. It's a way to inspire people to show them that, even if people in today's world are telling you you can't do that, that's not realistic, etc., don't believe them because there's proof out there. And I want to bring that proof to the world and also share that positivity with them so that way they know that they can do it, and at the same time, I want them to join me on my journey, right? Like I'm 34 years old. I'm getting ready to start a family. I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years after leaving the retail automotive industry and not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I always wanted to make an impact on people in a positive way. My business partner asked me when we first started working together, one of the questions he asked me was, what will your epitaph read like? And when he asked me that question, I knew how serious he was. And it made me think about, like, how do you want to be not just remembered, because that's legacy. And legacy a lot of times is ego, but like, what's the impact you want to leave on other people? So that's what I really hope the podcast does, is leave a impact on people that leaves them, as they say, better than I found them.
What's crazy too is you're talking about your podcast. I just realized every one of us, you listening, are underdogs. We all started
Yeah.
at zero. Cuban started at zero. Buffett started at zero. Musk started at zero. We all are underdogs and we embrace that. That's why I love your podcast. And we'll get the information audience for you to listen to it because he's had wonderful guests on there. The other thing, the 365 Academy, they have me come aboard. I'm really taking a lot in it because I'm busy, but you're really passionate about that when we first met. Tell us about what that's all about.
So Academy 365
I'm
is
sorry, I
a
said it wrong. Academy 365. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. All good. So Academy 365, Steve, is our community of like-minded selling professionals, entrepreneurs. We really help in the retail automotive space as well as B2B and anybody who's an entrepreneur. But the slogan for our academy is real people, real results. Because, I don't know about you, but if you've ever walked into a dealership or to buy a house or an expensive piece of software, a lot of times you run into selling professionals who are super robotic, super transactional, super scripted, and it just gives you that ick feeling like this person really doesn't care about my desired end result or what I'm looking to do or even the pain I'm looking to move away from. They're more concerned about making the sale than actually looking out for me. So our motto inside of our coaching is helping our clients make the best decision possible for them. So we teach selling professionals how to build real relationships, brand themselves in a way that makes them the most trusted resource in their community, and then be able to build those relationships in a way that creates repeat and referral opportunities. So that way they can scale their business. But more importantly than that is they're building real value in the marketplace. They're building real value in their community. So Academy 365 has courses. We do live webinars and events inside of there. And then we also do in-person coaching as well. And two of our curriculums inside of there is 7 pillars and 3-step selling. So 7 pillars is all business development, everything from mindset to branding to becoming that most trusted resource to turning everyday conversations into client opportunities to building pipelines, like really how to build a pipeline of self-generated leads to handling objections and actually seeing those objections as opportunities to serve and then not closing, but collaborating, right? Like giving people multiple options to say yes. Nobody likes yes or no decisions and nobody likes to be pressured into making a decision. And then 3-step selling, which is just really find the right product, service, or platform, do an effective and dynamic presentation, and then give somebody multiple ownership options. I think that a lot of selling professionals, they overcomplicate the process and they forget that they're just real people serving other real people who just are looking for a subject matter expert or a trusted resource in a certain space. So as long as you can show up and ABC, not always be closing, but ABC, always be curious, always be connecting, always be creative, you have a real opportunity to serve people. And when people can feel that in the interactions that you have with them. So by the time you get to the quote unquote close, you got the right product picked out for them. They know they're dealing with a true professional that they can trust, crossing that threshold of trust. And we teach that inside of Academy 365 all the time, as well as in our in-person coaching.
I hear this all the time in Academy 365. This audience, you're looking for a community. We'll get the information here at the end. It'll be in the show notes so you can access it. I get this all the time working with people like you do. I'm struggling. How do I get clients?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. How would you
Yeah.
answer that? I have a way I answer it, but you do this all the time. You're working with
Yeah.
lots of entrepreneurs. How would you answer them?
Show up and give more value, and also look at the way you have set up your structure in your business. Meaning, what is your unfair advantage? We call it a lot of people call it a unique selling proposition. We call it a high value differentiator, right? Like, and then your personal branding, like what are the things you're associated with? Like what 2 to 3 words you would ask me off camera, like, how would you describe yourself? And I said dynamic, engaging, and authentic because those are the words that I want to map all of my actions to on a regular basis and show people that I'm also a real person. So when they say that they're struggling to get clients, a lot of times what they're doing, Steve, as you know, is they're pitching. They're immediately coming out and just pitching about how great they are, me, how great my product or program or service is, and not really finding out what's important to their audience. And a lot of times, they don't even know who their audience actually is. Like getting down to the nitty gritty of it, like male, female, age, what do they do every day? What are their common pain points? What are their hopes, dreams, and desires, right? Like when you get intimate inside of your business and you really know your audience, you really know your product and the pain points it solves, as well as the desired end results that it creates, it doesn't become you chasing clients anymore. You become a magnet because every conversation you're having, you're leading with questions. You're again, ABC, always be curious. You're leading with those smart, relevant questions rather than, you've done it, Steve, I'm sure, or not you've done it, but you've experienced it where you connect with somebody on LinkedIn and the first thing they do is they hit your DM, they hit your DMs on LinkedIn and they're just telling you about, hey, like, I read your profile And I think that you'd be a great fit for X, Y, and Z, and we should collaborate. And here's what it costs. Like, you read a profile, you don't actually know me, right? Or you didn't even take the time to know me. And then
Yeah.
the other piece of it is you could be building that in the marketplace through social media, through podcasting, through making your own podcast if you'd like to, but just guesting, right? Like getting on shows. There's so many different ways, Steve, that I think that selling professionals and entrepreneurs, they often want to chase, and they think that I have to do more cold outreach. That's definitely important, right? But remember, it's cold. Like, how do you warm up that audience first? You create content, and you create value, that is going to actually resonate with them. So that way, when they receive it, they're
Yeah.
like, this person understands me. This person knows me. And a lot of times, we've never spent any money on ads. Me and my business partner, Sandy Sarami, we've not spent a dollar on ads. Everything that we've done has been from repeat and referral business. And that's because we understand our audience and we lead with value. So if you're wondering where you're going to get your next client from, don't look externally, look internally, and look at how you're building value. Even something as simple as creating a free resource. Well, what if I give it away and then they don't do business with me, is something we commonly hear. They can go on the internet right now and go to AI and get a lot of information, but they don't have somebody they can trust. And that human to human connection, especially in the age of AI, is part of what we teach inside of Academy that will help you create more opportunities where they're coming to you rather than you chasing them, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. Ron, absolutely brilliant. Because the thing you said, I want to unpack real quick because we're coming to
Sure.
the end here, is yes questions, no questions. Never, ever ask those. Like, and on here's an example. Go, hey, Ron, do you wear glasses?
Yup.
Well, I'm looking at him. Yes. I mean, I laugh because a lot of people still ask me those questions. And then I try to mentor them and say, and have questions done before you meet with somebody. If it's the same questions every person you meet, that's how easy it is. It doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to go to ChatGPT and find a bunch of questions. Just ask general questions. The other thing is on LinkedIn, I love what you just said. I just got a message this morning. Hey, I've got to see you got a coaching program. I've got this great lead gen thing. I don't have a coaching program. I don't know where you got that. And here's a tip for you audience. What I do is repitch them, my podcast. I got subscribers from that. Go, hey, thank you for reaching out. Be very nice, but I'm not at this time, I'm not interested. Here's my new podcast. Take a look at it. Or here's my podcast. Take a look at it. And, nobody's ever gotten mad. Most of them don't do anything, but it's such a cool way of just really building a relationship. So let's end with this. And then I got a fun question to ask you.
Sure.
What's one piece of advice that you'd give an entrepreneur that you've heard this same question all the time or same theme that you can give the audience to help them with their entrepreneurial journey?
Continue to fine tune and iterate. The first version of what you come up with is not going to be the version of it that is going to actually be successful. If you're not willing to go back to the drawing board again and again and again, I'm not talking about scrapping your whole idea, but if you had an idea for a business and you see an opportunity, there's going to be a good chance, more than likely, probably almost positively, that you're going to have to iterate and fine tune that idea and craft it and position it in a way that's going to speak to your audience in a way that's going to show you understand them, you understand where they're trying to go, and you're trying to ultimately create some form of transformation in their life. They're at point A, you're trying to bring them to point B. And whatever that idea is in between, you have to mold it in a way that's going to resonate with them so that way you can get the attention you deserve essentially, right? And the other thing too is I heard a phrase, an acronym called MOAT, MOAT, and M is in margin. So like number one, if you're thinking about going into becoming an entrepreneur, do you have margin potential inside of what you do from your cost to what you are going to essentially charge, right? What's the O? The opportunity and optimization. So like, do you have an opportunity to optimize the systems? Like, is there systems you could be using to nurture and cultivate those leads, right? And also your clients after they buy from you. And then also A, for unfair advantage. So do you have some kind of differentiator in the business? And then T, for TAM, total addressable market. Is there an addressable market, and how well do you know them? So, I would say have a moat, right? And then also be willing to fine tune and continue to iterate, because as long as you keep going, just like being an underdog, you're gonna find that success you're looking for.
One of the best answers in the 800 shows, probably asked that question 300 times. It's the best,
Thank you.
best answer I've ever heard, because COVID taught us we have to pivot. How many restaurants closed? How many retail closed because they couldn't do outside dining, or didn't want to do exactly what you said? What do you got to change? Amazon's today is much different than it was 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Google, we go across the board. You just nailed it. And we're going to get his contact, because you're going to want to reach out to this guy, audience, for sure. Let's end with a fun question. So I've reserved a table in a restaurant for you. There's 4 seats. You're in one of the seats. You have 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite, whether dead or alive, to sit there and have dinner with you, to ask questions, to learn from, to grow with? But I think the most important question on top of that is, what food would you order for the table?
Well, oh man, the food part is food part's probably the easiest part of that question.
You usually hear that.
Because I would get something that everybody could share and enjoy. So there'd have to be some kind of mix of protein, carbs, and veggies, that everybody can enjoy. I'd ask around the table, ABC, be curious, and ask around the table of what they like, and try to get a combination of things, right? Wow, 3 people I would have at the table, Steve. You really got me right now, because that's tough to say. I would say one of them for sure would be Jim Rohn. I would absolutely love to be able to sit at a table with that man. Another one would um, probably be, I would love to sit with Muhammad Ali.
Whew. Yeah.
I would love to sit with him, talk to him about, just everything from boxing to life and his journey. Um, and then a third person, I mean, wow. Neil deGrasse Tyson would be somebody maybe too, just from
Smart.
understanding like science, physics, the universe, things like that. So I got an athlete in there. I have an astrophysicist, and I have a coach and pseudo, kind of philosopher. And that's just me off the top of my head, thinking about trying to think about 3 different categories. I might want somebody who is really up there, and then just learning from them, and just sitting back, and letting them even have a conversation, and just listening.
Yeah, that would be a great listening table. What a powerhouse table. Oh my
Thank you.
gosh. Ron, thank you for being a great guest. We were blessed to listen to you, and thank you for taking the time. I know the audience reaching out. How can we find the podcast? How can we find Academy 365? And how can they reach out to you?
Sure, absolutely. So, the podcast is Great American Underdog. If you search for it on YouTube, type in the Great American Underdog podcast, because there is that Kurt Warner Great American Underdog movie that's still popping up above me, but that'll change as we grow, of course. For Academy 365, you can visit sandysarami.com/Academy 365. But for your guest, Steve, if they would like to, we have a free resource called the Winner's Circle. And what it is it's a monthly webinar that we run. We talk about everything from mindset to branding, marketing, sales, business development, and it's free for anybody that would like to join. And if you would like to join that, that's sandysarami.com/winners circle. And if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm on Instagram, primarily Ron Marvo. And you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn as well at Ron Marvo. So just my name, RON, M as in Mary, ARV as in Victor O. And anybody can reach out to me anytime if they have some questions, and want to start a chat, and glad to help if I can.
When I hear you say your last name, I think of Marvel. You are a superhero in
Thank you. My business
business.
partner calls me Marvelous.
There you go. See, Sandy's a smart guy. I like it. It's a guy. He's a male, right? Sandy's a male.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a guy.
Yeah, all right. Okay. I figure I got, because that's such a hybrid name. It could be go.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
His
thanks
grandfather
again.
was Santo.
Well, there you go. I like Santo. Okay, Santo is good. That's a good
Yeah.
name. Um, Thanks again.
It's
God
my
bless.
pleasure, Steve. Thank you for
Really
having me.
appreciate that. And audience, here's your homework at the end. And Ron's a perfect example. His podcast, subscribe to podcast. Mine, Ron's, because here's why it's a gift. It's a gift to you first, because you get to listen to this and maybe grow, learn, educate, motivate, inspire. But you get to do that with somebody that needs help. When I talk about starting, serve yourself and serve others. Well, podcast links are gifts to serving others. So go ahead and subscribe. Again, Ron's, mine, all of ours, as many as you're listening to as you can, put in your time frame, and just share those like Christmas every morning. And I guarantee you it's the best feeling in the world. With that being said, me and Ron, I want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.